Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this hat here. I think it turned out pretty cool. I made it for myself, so I'm going to be wearing it. It's kind of a ribbed hat. You can see the ribbing in it. It's not really hard as long as you can do post stitches, front post stitches. As long as you're able to do those, you shouldn't have any problem making this hat. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project, I'm using Vanna's Choice by Lion brand. It is a 100% acrylic medium 4-weight yarn. Now, you don't have to use this yarn. Any medium 4-weight will work. Now, there's the one I have is called Patchwork Gray. There's 121 yards per ball, and this is actually my second one. Because there's not a lot of yardage in these. But I say you're probably going to need about 150, 170 yards of yarn to complete this project. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Now this hat should fit an adult. It can be a unisex hat. Approximately 21 and a half inches. Alright, and as always, I want to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the lower right hand corner, you'll see that little red subscribe button. If you click on that, you'll automatically be subscribed, and then you'll never miss any of my videos that I put on. Also, don't forget to check me out on Facebook, and I'll put a link below to that in the description box. You can always post your crochet items on there for me to see. And if you like this video, you like this hat, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Okay, for this project, we're going to start out with a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to start out by working a chain of 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. Like that. And then I'm going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. Now I'm going to work 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So there's 1. So I just go right through the ring, draw up a loop back through, and then I do my double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 1, and we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Not that chain one we did, but the very first double crochet that we made. And you should have a total of 12 stitches now. And if you pull your tail, that center circle will close up a little bit more, and then you can sew it together the rest of the way at the end. Okay, we're going to start round 2. Okay, we're going to start by chaining 1. Now we're going to work right back into that same stitch right here that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that stitch. And now I'm going to work along, and I'm going to put 2 double crochets in every single stitch all the way around. Just like that. So continue working 2 double crochets in every stitch until you get back to the beginning. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 2, and now you should have a total of 24 stitches, and we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Just like that. And now we're going to start round 3 by chaining 1. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet right there back into that very same stitch. And now we're going to start doing some post stitches. So in the next stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to work 1 double crochet into the top of the next stitch. And now we're going to work a front post double around the post of that same stitch. So here's where we put the double. Right here is the post of it. So we're going to yarn over and go around the post of that same stitch that we just put that double crochet in and do a front post double crochet. Just like that. And we're going to repeat that. So we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch, we're going to put 1 double crochet into the top of it and 1 front post double crochet around the post of it. So we'll go ahead and put 1 double crochet right into the top of it. And then around the post of that same stitch, we're going to do a front post double crochet. Just like that. So we'll go ahead and do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch will be 1 double crochet into the top and 1 front post double crochet around the post. So I'm going to go do my double crochet around the top of it. And then around the post of that same stitch, I'm going to do a front post double crochet. Okay, we're going to repeat it again. 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then the next stitch you'll get 1 double crochet in the top and 1 double crochet around the post of the same stitch. And this is a pattern I'm going to repeat all the way around for round 3. Double crochet into the next, and then double crochet into the top of the next and front post double crochet around the post of the same one. There we go, just like that, and that's what it starts to look like. You can see some posts, you'll see them better later, but starting to emerge. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 3. Now your last stitch should have been where you put a double crochet in the top and then a front post double around the same stitch. We'll go ahead and end with the slip stitch into our first double crochet, and you'll have 36 stitches now. So round 4, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to do a double crochet back into that same stitch. Like that. And then we're going to do a front post double crochet around the next stitch. Now the next stitch will be where we put 1 double crochet into the top of the stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet around the post. And if you see, it is already a front post double crochet from the previous row. So go right around the post of it and front post double crochet. So we're going to kind of repeat what we did. We're going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to do a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. And then the next stitch will be where we put a regular double crochet in the top and a front post double around the post. So there's my regular double onto the top and then a front post double like that. So we're going to repeat it again. Double crochet into the next stitch. front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. And then the next stitch, you can see, is the post stitch from the previous row. We do a double crochet into the top of it, and then a front post double crochet around the post of it. Okay, well, I'll repeat it one more time. Do a double crochet into the next stitch. Do a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. In the next stitch, we will do a regular double crochet in the top, and then a front post double crochet around the post. And remember, it's the post from the previous row. So do a regular double into the top, and then front post double around the post of the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and that's what it's kind of starting to look like until I get back to the beginning. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 4. Your last stitch should have been where you put a double crochet into the same stitch as you put a front post double crochet. We'll go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet, and now you'll have a total of 48 stitches. Around 5, we're going to go ahead and chain 1. So we're going to put 1 double crochet into the first stitch. We're going to do a front post double crochet around the next stitch. You can see that it is a front post double from the previous row. So go ahead and do a front post double crochet right around that. We're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, which is this double crochet right here. And now the next stitch is going to be, you see it's the post stitch from the previous row, a double crochet into the top of it, and then a front post double crochet around the post of it. And that's what we're going to repeat. So we'll start the repeat. Double crochet into the next stitch. Front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. Double crochet into the next stitch. Don't miss it, it's in between these two posts. Sometimes you gotta pull them apart to see it, but just double crochet right into the top of it. And then the next stitch, we do a double crochet into the top of it, and then we do a front post double crochet around the post of it, like that. And now we're going to repeat it again. We're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and now the next stitch will be 1 double crochet into the top of it, and then front post double crochet around the post of it. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way around. I'll do it one more time. Double crochet into the next stitch, front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and then the next stitch we'll get a double crochet into the top of it and a front post double crochet around the post of it. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 5, and now you should have a total of 60 stitches. Your last stitch right here should have been where you did the double crochet in the top and then the front post double crochet around the post. We're going to end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Now round 6 is the repeat round for the rest of the hat until we get to the very bottom. So we're not going to be doing any more increasing any more stitches. We have 60 now, and that's what we need to have. So what we're going to do is the main thing is just keeping all these post stitches lined up with each other. So we are going to chain 1, and we're going to put a double crochet into the first stitch, front post double crochet around the next, 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet around the next, and then we repeat 1 double crochet into the next stitch, front post double crochet around the next, 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, front post double crochet around the next, and that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. 1 double crochet into the next, front post double crochet into the next, 1 double crochet into the next 2, and front post double crochet into the next. And I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around. If you see what we're doing, all we're doing is we're just keeping our posts all lined up, and we have double crochets in between them. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next, 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and front post double into the next. So I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern until I get back to the beginning. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 6. You should have ended in a front post double crochet, and you should have a total of 60 stitches still. So we're going to end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. So now we're just going to keep repeating round 6. Now when you look, you'll see the posts. There's 2 double crochets, regular double crochets between this set of posts, and there's only 1 double crochet between those. 2 double crochets between these 2 posts, and 1 double crochet between those posts. So that's kind of the repeat, really. 2 double crochets between that set of posts, and only 1 in between that set. So it's pretty easy. Just make sure you get 2 double crochets between one set, and then just be 1 double crochet between the next set. Just keeping your posts lined up. And you'll always have 60 stitches at the end of every round. Now you want to repeat this until you get a total of 16 rounds. Now we just finished round 6, and we're getting ready to start round 7. So keep repeating round 6 till you hit a total of 16 rounds. Now your work will flip up a bit like this. Post stitches do that. So you're not doing anything wrong if your work curls up. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of that at the end. So just go ahead and continue repeating round 6 till you get a total of 16 rounds. Okay, I've got my 16 rounds done. Now remember, you do feel free to do as many as you want. And my edge is flipping, which I said that it would do that. We'll go ahead and fix that right now with some single crochet. So I went ahead and ended by slip stitching there into my first double crochet. So now I'm going to chain one. I'm going to go back into that same stitch and I'm going to single crochet. Now I'm just going to work one single crochet in every stitch around. So I'm not going to be doing any post stitches anymore. Not in my work or my yarn. Oh, I hate that. It's just one single in every stitch. So this is round 17 now. So I'm going to continue doing my one single crochet in the top of every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you when I get back to our starting point right over here. Alright, I've made it back around into round 17, and you still should have 60 stitches. Now I'm going to go ahead and end with the slip stitch into my first single crochet. Not this chain one, but the first single crochet. Now, if you try your hat on and you feel like it's fine, you can quit now. I actually like my hats to be a little bit lower on my head. So, since I'm making this for me, I'm going to go around again with another row of single crochet. So, I'm going to chain one. I'm going to repeat what we just did on round 17 for round 18. Go back in that same stitch, single crochet. And then I'm going to work one single crochet in every stitch around. Back to my starting point. Alright, I made it back around into row around 18, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into my first single crochet, and you will still have 60 stitches, and I'm going to go ahead and tie off here. If you want to do more rounds, you know, that's up to you. You can do more if you want. I'm going to tie that off. Hide my tail. I think it's a pretty cool looking hat. I'm going to wear it. I don't know if I'll be able to rock it very well, but I'm still going to wear it. Anyways, that's all there is to this. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. As always, remember, you can always check me out on Facebook. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. I'll put a link to that below in the description box. Keep up with me on Facebook. Also, don't forget to check out all my other tutorials. I have hundreds of tutorials. And don't forget to subscribe, as I mentioned in the beginning. If you look in the upper left hand corner of the screen, you'll see a picture of my face. If you click on my face there, you'll automatically be subscribed and you'll never miss any of my updates. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks everybody. Have a good night. Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this waffle stitch slouchy hat and a scarf to match. It's not hard, but you do need to know how to do front post double crochet and back post double crochet. So I particularly am not a fan of slouchy hats, nor hats with pom-poms on them. I do not think that I look good in them, and I don't even really know how to wear them. But I thought I would try it on for you so you could see what it looks like there. And that way you can determine if you want to make yours longer or shorter than what I did in the picture. But this is what it looks like. I don't know, palm might be kind of big on it. Whatever you guys think. I think I look like a nerd. But we will, the yarn's gorgeous though. It's my color of yarn. I love that. But you guys want to do it? You want to go ahead and get started? It's not hard. You can do it. I know you can do it. Let's go. Okay, so first the hat here, I'll show you. This should fit about a size between 21.5 and 22 inch size head. I will give you the multiple of the hat. It's worked from the bottom up, and then we gather it and put a palm on it, and then we put a little brim on it at the end. I'll give you the multiple in case you want to make it larger than that. And the scarf, I'll give you the multiple of that. Now, the hat and the scarf have different multiples, but it's still it's very easy to do if you can do front post and back post stitches. So let me give you a quick measurement of what we got going on here. So the hat, I'll start at the gathering point all the way down, is about 9 inches. If you want yours shorter than mine, you can always make it shorter. I tell you in the video where you can do that. And then the scarf, width wise, it's about 5 inches. Like I said, 5 1/4. I'll give you the measurement to make it wider if you choose. And it's approximately 72 inches long, but you can make it any length that you want. Now for this project, I used Lion Brand's Basic Stitch Anti-Pilling. It's a 100% acrylic yarn. It's a medium 4-weight. Now you don't have to use this yarn. Any medium 4-weight will work just fine. There are 185 yards per ball. Now it took me almost all of one ball to make the hat, and 2 and a half probably to make the scarf, but you don't have to make the scarf that long, or if you want to make it longer, that's completely up to you. But that was 185 yards per ball. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Now remember, this hat will work well for a man or a woman. This is a unisex set, so man, woman, whoever. It's going to look great on whoever. Okay, for the hat, we're going to start out with a chain of 60. Now, if you want, and we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. So we'll be working from the bottom of the hat up. Now, if you want your hat bigger, you just need to be in multiples of 3 to make it larger. But following along with me, the size that I made, go ahead and chain 60. And now what we're going to do is follow this down without twisting our hook. And we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch to form our large ring. Okay, now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now that chain 1 we just made does not count as a stitch. And now I'm going to work across my chain, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get all the way back around to the beginning. Just like that. So I'll meet back up with you at the beginning. Okay, so I've made it to the end of row 1, and you should have 60 stitches. And what we're going to do is go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first single crochet, not the chain 1, but the first single crochet, slip stitch 60 stitches, and that'll end round 1. So now we're going to start round 2. We are going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. We're going to put a double crochet right back into that very stitch right there that we just slip stitched into. And now we're going to work around, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into every single stitch until we get back to our starting point. So just like this. 1 double in every stitch until you make it back to the beginning. Okay, I've come to the end of round 2, and I still should have my 60 stitches, and I'm going to go ahead and end round 2 by slip stitching into my first double crochet, not the chain 1. Now you'll have your 60 stitches. Now rounds 3 and 4 are going to be the repeat rounds of the hat. So we're going to go ahead and start round 3 by chaining 1. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back into that same spot, and we're going to work a double crochet. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. And then the next stitch we are going to work a front post double crochet. So we're going to go around the stitch and do a front post double. Like that. So what we just did there is we did 2 double crochets, 1, 2, and then a front post double crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around for round 3. So again, we're going to put a double crochet into the next stitch, a double into the next, and then a front post double into the next. Just like that. Again, a double crochet into the next, and then a double crochet into the next, and then a front post double into the next. And I am going to repeat this pattern of 2 double crochets and then a front post double crochet all the way around until I get back to my starting point. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of round 3, and your last stitch should have been a front post double crochet, and we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And you should have 60 stitches. We're always going to have 60 stitches now from here on out. So now we're going to do round 4. I know the pattern isn't very visible now, but the more rows you do, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. We're going to start round 4, and it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to chain 1. Doesn't count as a stitch. We need to do a back post. We're doing back post now on this round. Double crochet around this first stitch. Now remember, we did a chain 1 here. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can yarn over and do your back post, and go through that chain 1 and the stitch, or what I usually do is I yarn over and I go in between that chain 1 and the stitch like that, and then do my back post double crochet like that. And then we need to do a back post double crochet around the next stitch. Remember, we're working back post, not front post. And then we're just going to do a double crochet, so regular double crochet in the top of the next stitch, which is actually a post stitch from the previous row. So we just do a regular double crochet into the top of that. So what we have now is 2 back post double crochets and then 1 regular double crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat for round 4. So we're going to do a back post double crochet around the next stitch, back post double crochet around the next stitch, and then a regular double crochet into the top of the next. And you'll be able to tell because it's a post stitch from the previous row. We just go right in it and do a regular double crochet. So again, we're going to repeat that again. Back post double into the next, back post double into the next, and then a regular double into the top of the next. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 4, and you should have ended with the regular double crochet here into this post stitch from the previous round. And we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first back post double crochet, and you'll have 60 stitches again. And that's it. Now we're going to repeat rounds 3 and 4. So for round 5, we're just going to repeat what we did here on round 3. So if you remember right, we chained 1, and we put a double crochet into the first stitch and into the next stitch, just regular doubles. So there's 1, 2, and then we did a front post double crochet around the next stitch. Like that. And then we do double crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. There's 1 and 2. And then the next stitch we did a front post double crochet. And I'm just going to keep repeating rounds 3 and 4 for a while here until I get my hat a bit taller. You can make this regular beanie, or you could make it slouchy. Slouchy would just, it is the same. You just add more rows to make it longer. Or just, you know, however you want it to fit your head. But I'm going to keep repeating 3 and 4. We're always going to have 60 stitches. And I'm going to keep going, and I'll let you know how many total rows of 3 and 4 that I do here in just a second. Okay, so here's mine right now. Right now mine measures right about 8 inches from top to bottom. I will be putting a little small brim on the bottom too. So once you get yours as tall as you want it to be, or measuring about 8 inches, what we're going to do, you want to make sure that you end in a row where you did 2 double crochets in the front post double crochet row. Now what we're going to do is we ended with the slip stitch into our first double crochet. You want to pull a long tail, and we're going to sew up the top. So pull a long tail out and clip your yarn and get your yarn needle. Alright, so I got a real long tail here. It's probably like 3 feet. It's probably way too long, but go ahead and load up your yarn needle and we'll sew up the top. What I do when I sew up the top here is this: I go every other stitch back, and then I'll skip a stitch and go through the next. You can skip 2 stitches if you want, but I usually just skip one. Skip one and then go back through. Make sure you're going through the top of the stitch. Try not to get snagged up on anything. That way when you pull it tight closed, it don't get knotted up on anything. And we're going to do this all the way around until we get back to the beginning, and then we'll be able to pull it shut. Put a palm on it if you want, and we'll work on the brim. So every other, back and forth. Till you get back to where you started. Okay, so I have made it all the way back around, and what you want to do is just kind of gently pull on it, and it'll gather up the top like that. You see that, how it's gathering? Don't pull it too hard. You don't want your yarn to break. Some yarn breaks easier than others, but once you get it pulled up to the top, there could still possibly be a little bit of a hole there, and that's fine. Now what we're going to do is just sew it all shut with the remainder of our tail. So if you have a little bit of hole there, as we're hiding our tail, just kind of sew that hole shut. Pull kind of tight. Make sure it's staying together. You don't want it popping open on top of your head. Once you've done it enough and you feel that it's secure, you can go ahead and clip your yarn. Okay. Okay, so what I got so far. Now I'm going to go start at the bottom of my hat. And I'm going to work the back side of my hat where the seam is. That's where I'm going to start my yarn. So here's where I started in the beginning. So now I'm going to grab my yarn again and just start somewhere around here where the seam's at. Or somewhere around here in any stitch on the back of your hat. And go through any stitch, pull up a loop, and chain 1. Now go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now I'm going to single crochet 1 time in every stitch all the way around. I'm going to try to hide these tails as I go. Carry both of them with me as I go. So this will be round 1 of the brim. And I'm working 1 single in every stitch until I get back to my starting point. Okay, so once you make it back to the beginning, we're going to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into our first single crochet, and you should have 60 stitches. If you don't, as long as it's close to that, you know, that's fine. Now I'm going to do another round. I'm going to chain one, go back into that same stitch and single crochet, and I'm going to go around again, putting one single crochet in every stitch. So you can do as many rows of single crochet as you would like for the brim. So I always like to try the hat on and see. This might be my last row, but I'm not sure. But I'm just repeating what we just did, putting one single crochet in every stitch until I make it back to my starting point. Okay, so I went ahead and done a total of 3 rounds of single crochet at the bottom. You can do more if you want. I'm going to go ahead and stop there, but try it on, and if you want it to be, man, I got the dullest scissors ever, more slouchy or more the brim thicker, that's completely up to you, you know, however you want it. Then what you want to do is hide this tail, and then you can apply your pom-pom. If you want to put a pom-pom. If not, you don't have to. It looks cool the way it is too. But pom-poms, I can give you a quick. Okay, so my pom-pom's the type with the button snap. So what I'll do is use a regular thread and needle and sew it to the top of my hat, and then it'll snap on. That way you can it has to snap here already on the pom. That way you can take it off if you want when you wash. But like I said, I'll sew it really tight with regular thread and regular needle, and then snap it on the top. Now some pom-poms have elastic bands. Those you can either sew on with the yarn and the yarn needle, or some people put just a regular button inside the hat, and then they will put that elastic from the pom through the top and just attach the elastic to that button, and that way it's removable during washing. Also, either one is acceptable. So I'm going to go ahead and sew my pom-pom on. Okay, so I am done with my hat here. Got my pom on. Hat's finished. Now we'll go ahead and do the scarf, which is very, very easy. It is actually easier than the hat, because in the hat we worked in the round, which made us have to do back post double crochets, which aren't hard, but front posts are always easier. And when you work the scarf, we work only front post double crochets because we're working back and forth. Now, if you want to make your scarf wider than mine, so the chain amount that we make is the width of the scarf. It's just how wide it is, and then we work to the length. So if you want to make it wider, this is done in a multiple of 3 plus 2. So for mine, I started out with a chain of 23. So 21 was my multiple of 3, and then I added 2 more for a total of 23 stitches. Okay, so I got my 23 stitches here. Don't mind my hook, it's the same size. It's still the J. I lost the other one for some reason. I don't know. It's amazing how fast you can lose a hook. Okay, once you get your chain amount, I got my chain of 23 done. Now I'm going to do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. Now remember, we don't count the one that's on the hook. We count over 1, 2, 3, and 4, and double crochet in that 4th stitch. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of our row. Okay, so I've made it to the end of row 1, and I should have a total of 21 stitches, and that's counting this little chain here on the end. He counts as a stitch. So counting him, we'll have 21, and that's the number we're going to have the whole time for the rest of the pattern. So it's going to be 21. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeat rows. So we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet right back there into that very first stitch. Just like that. And then we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. Like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a front post double crochet over the next 2 stitches. So front post double in that one and front post double into the next. And now the next stitch, we're just going to do a regular double crochet right on top of it, just regular double. And then we're going to kind of repeat that by doing one front post double into the next 2 stitches. So front post double in this one, front post double into the next one, and then a regular double crochet into the top of the next. Again, front post double into the next 2 stitches. Just 1, go to the next one, front post double, 2, and then 1 regular double crochet into the top of the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get near the end of the row. Alright, I'm coming to the end of the row, and I just did 2 front post double crochets, and I have 2 stitches left. And since I'm at the end of the row, I'm just going to double crochet into those last 2, because we began the row with a double crochet in the first 2. Just like that, 21 stitches at the end of row 2. And now we're going to start row 3 by chaining 1 and turning our work. And we're going to put a double crochet into that very first stitch. Now this time we are going to put a front post double crochet into the next stitch. Just 1 front post double crochet around the next stitch. And then the next 2 stitches right here, which were post stitches for the previous row, we're just going to put a regular double crochet in the top of them, of each of them, like that. And then we front post double crochet around the next stitch, and regular double crochet into the top of the next 2. And this is a pattern we're going to repeat until we get to the end of row 3. And then front post double into the next. I think once you get to going on it, get your rows down, 2 double crochets in each of the next 2, it'll go by really fast. It's really a pretty quick stitch. Or 1 double in the next 2 stitches. Front post double crochet into the next, 1 double into the next 2 stitches. And you do this until you get to the end of the row. 1 double into, or 1 front post double crochet into the next, 1 double into the next 2 stitches. I'm almost to the end here, so I'll just finish out the row. 1 front post double crochet into the next, 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, 1 front post double crochet into the next, and then you'll have 1 stitch left, and go ahead and double crochet right into the top of it. Now that'll be the end of row 3. If you look, you can kind of see the waffles starting to take place, and you'll be able to see it the more rows that you get to going on it. You'll start to see it a lot more, but it'll go by pretty quick. So we just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until we get the scarf. You can get it, make it as long as you want it to be. You can make it long and sew it together, make it an infinity scarf, whatever. It's up to you, however long or short you want it to be. But just keep going until you get the scarf finished. And then once you're done with that, tie off, you're done. And then you got a nice hat and scarf set for yourself or as a gift. I think it's cool. It has a lot of texture. Now, like I said, I'm not really a slouchy or a palm fan, but for some reason, this palm really works well with this yarn. I like it. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, on Facebook, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Give this a big thumbs up. Check out all my crochet content. If you don't crochet, if you're a knitter, check out all my yarn content. I hold giveaways. It's just all in all a good time here, I think anyways. So thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day. Okay, for this project, I'm using a Lion brand Heartland, which it's just a medium weight 4-ply acrylic yarn, 100% acrylic. So you don't have to use this brand. Any type of 4-ply yarn will work. And the color, though, if you do decide, is called Joshua's Tree. And I don't know how many yards. So 251 yards per skein, and one skein will be enough to make a hat. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5mm crochet hook. And I want to take a moment to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you do go to subscribe, don't forget to click that little bell that's right there by the subscribe button. That way you never miss a tutorial again. Okay, for this you want to start off with a chain of 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring, and you can use a magic circle here too if you prefer. Okay, now we're going to chain 1. Now that chain 1 I did doesn't count as anything. It doesn't count as a stitch or nothing. So what we're going to do is work 12 double crochets through the center of that ring right there. So I'm going to yarn over and go through the ring and draw up a loop. And then I'm going to do my double crochet. And I want to do that 12 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once you make it all the way around and you have your 12 double crochets, we're going to go ahead and end round 1 by slip stitching into the first double crochet. Not the chain 1, but that first double crochet that we did. That'll end round 1 and we'll have 12 stitches now. So you can go ahead and pull your tail, and usually that'll close up that center circle just a bit more, and then you can close it up the rest of the way at the end with the yarn, with your yarn needle. Okay, for round 2 we will go ahead and chain 1 again, which does not count as anything, and we're going to work 2 double crochets right there back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. So we're going to yarn over and go right into that same stitch and do 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to work 2 double crochets in every single stitch all the way around. So go to the next stitch and work 2 double crochets, 2 into the next, and 2 into every stitch until we get back to the beginning. Okay, I have made it to the end of round 2, and what you want to do to end round 2 is we're going to slip stitch again into the first double crochet that we made, and now you should have a total of 24 stitches at the end of round 2. So we're going to start round 3 by chaining 1, and what we're going to do for round 3 is just repeat what we did for round 2. So I'm going to put 2 double crochets right there into that very first stitch, the one that we just slip stitched into. So there's 1 and 2. Now again, just like the previous round, we're going to work 2 double crochets in every stitch all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Just like that. Okay, once you make it back around, at the end of round 3, you should have 48 stitches now, and we're just going to end round 3 by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And now we'll start round 4 by chaining 1, and now we're going to work 1 double crochet right there into that very first stitch that we slip stitched into. And now the next stitch we're going to work 2 double crochets into that same stitch. And then the next stitch will be 1 double crochet. And then in the next stitch we'll put 2 double crochets. One double crochet into the next, and then 2 double crochets into the next. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way back around to the beginning. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, until we get back around here to our starting point. Okay, I made it back around at the end of round 4, and you should have 72 stitches now. And now we're going to end round 4 by slip stitching right here into our first double crochet. Now we're going to start working the, it's okay if it's a little wavy, it'll work itself out. We're going to start making the hat go down. So we're not going to do any more increases. So what we're going to do, we're going to start round 5 by chaining 1. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet right back into the same stitch. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to skip 2 stitches. Skip it and skip. And in the next stitch we're going to work a front post triple crochet. So what we're going to do is yarn over twice like we're going to do a triple crochet. Now remember, we're skipping 2 stitches, and we're going to go, instead of working into the top of the stitch, we're just going to work our triple crochet around the front of the post of the stitch like that. And then you just do your triple crochet like you normally would. And then I'm going to do a front post triple crochet in the next stitch. So I'm going to yarn over twice again, and not going into the top. I'm going to go around the post of the next stitch like that and work my triple crochet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it up. In those 2 stitches that we skipped, we're going to work front post triple crochets also, starting with this very first one that we skipped. So we're going to yarn over twice. It's a little tricky. We're going to go all the way back to that first stitch that we skipped and go right around the post of it like that, and then do your triple crochet. And then the next one, kind of pull your stitches apart and you'll see it right there, front post triple crochet around that one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So remember, you can see this one right here has a front post triple around it. So make sure you're not going into the top of that one. Go into the next one, right into the top of it, and work a double crochet, just a regular double crochet, and then a regular double crochet into the top of the next one also, just like that. So now we're going to repeat that. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and front post triple around the next. So I'm going to skip this one and skip this one and front post triple around this one. And then I'm going to front post triple around the next one. And then I'm going to back it up and front post triple around the 2 that I skipped, starting with the first one. That's probably the hardest one to get, is that one right there. But once you do it a couple times, it'll be pretty easy. And then the next one, you kind of move your stitches around to see it right there. Front post triple around that one. And then it's 1 regular double crochet into the top of the next 2 stitches. So just yarn over and go into the top of the next stitch. and double crochet, and then double crochet again into the top of the next. And now we're just going to be repeating that all the way around. So do it one more time. Skip 2, skip, skip, front post triple around the next 2. And then we'll back it up and we're going to front post triple around the 2 that we skipped, starting with that first one. And then the next one's right there. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in the top of the next 2 stitches. So I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 5, and I did my last little cable here. I skipped 2 and I front post tripled in these 2. And then I went back and front post tripled in the 2 that I skipped, and now there are no stitches left. So what you want to do is end round 5 by slip stitching into the first double crochet, just like that. Now you still should have 72 stitches now at the end of round 5. Okay, we're going to start round 6 by chaining 1. And we're going to work 1 double crochet back into the same stitch. And then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now what we're going to do is front post triple crochet. This is what I do. I put my little finger, my thumb or my finger through here to separate these 2 stitches. I'm going to front post triple crochet around the first 2 in the back, and then around the first 2 in the front. So starting with this one, I'm going to yarn over twice and front post triple crochet around that first one. So we're not skipping any this time. And then around the next one that's in the back there. So go around the post of it and front post triple crochet. And then I'm going to front post triple crochet around these 2, starting with the first one. And then the next one here. Just like that. So that kind of made a little cable there, if you can see it. Now I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of these next 2 stitches. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this cable. So I kind of stick my finger or my thumb in there, and I'm going to front post triple around this one first, and then this one, the back 2. And then you kind of move the cables around to find them, I think. And there's your next one. Front post triple around that one. And then we'll front post triple around this one and then this one, the 2 that are in the front. And then we'll put 1 double crochet in each of these 2 double crochets. So 1 double into the next stitch, and then 1 into the next. And that's what we're going to kind of repeat all the way around. You can see it kind of makes little cables. So again, put your thumb in there, separate these two. And these two back here is we work this one first and then the next one, and we front post triple around those. So if it helps to slide these over, you can do that. Go around the first one, front post triple, and then around the next one. Slide over your stitches so you can find the right one. And then a front post triple around these two in front, starting with this one right here. And then the next one. And then one double crochet in each of these two double crochets. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around until we get back to the beginning. So you might have to just kind of fix these cables a bit. Sometimes they get twisted up at the top there. There you go. You can kind of start to see it a little bit better. So I'm just going to keep repeating that pattern all the way around and till I get to the end of round 6. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 6, and you still should have 72 stitches. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and end with a slip stitch into my first double crochet, just like that. Okay, now for round 7, what I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'm going to work 1 single crochet into that very same stitch. Single crochet this time. Remember that chain 1 that I did don't count as anything, so I'm working a single crochet in the same stitch. And I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every single stitch all the way around. Just like this, until I get back to the beginning. So row 7 is just a row of single crochet, 1 in every stitch, just like that. Okay, I've come to the end of round 7, and I did 1 single crochet in every stitch. Still should have 72 stitches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet, but I'm going to slip stitch into the back loop only. So you see that there are 2 loops on each stitch. Has 2 loops here. The one closest to you is the front loop right here, and the one furthest away from you is the back loop, and that's what we're going to be working in now. So we're going to come to our first single crochet here. We're going to slip stitch, but we're only going to slip stitch into that back loop, so we leave the front loop unworked. So go ahead and slip stitch into it like that. And now we are going to chain 1, and we're going to put 1 single crochet right there through that front loop, or through that back loop only. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, just working in the back loops. So this is round 8 that we're on. So we're just going into that back loop, so there'll just be 1 loop on your hook, and single crochet, and again in the next one, back loop only. And we're going to do this all the way around, and that's going to create just a little bit of a ridge there, just for texture, I guess. So 1 single back loop only every stitch until you get back around to the end of round 8. Okay, I've come around to the end of round 8 by working 1 single crochet in the back loops only. So again, I'm going to slip stitch into the back loop of my first single crochet, not this chain 1 here. Make sure you're going into the first single crochet, back loop only, slip stitch into it, and you should have 72 stitches still. So now what I'm going to do for round 9 is I'm just going to repeat round 8. So I'm going to chain 1, single crochet into the back loop only of that very first stitch, and then I'm going to work around putting 1 single crochet into the back loop only of every stitch. So round 9, I'm repeating round 8, so we're on round 9 now. You can see it's starting to make little ribbings. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around. Okay, I've come to the end of round 9 and I'm going 72 stitches still. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. So for round 10, I'm gonna slip stitch into the single crochet back loop only. Remember not to go into that chain one. So the first single crochet back loop only. I'm repeating this row one more time for row 10. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into the same back loop and single crochet, and then I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch, back loop only, just like we did on the previous rows. Just like that. So you want to repeat that until you get over here to the end of round 10. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 10. We should have 72 stitches. What I'm going to do now is slip stitch into the first single crochet, but I'm going to go through both loops now when I slip stitch. So not the chain one, but the first single crochet, both loops. Now we're working through both loops again. Now for round 11, I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to put 1 double crochet right back into the same stitch. And now I'm going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. We're going through both loops, remember. 1 double crochet every single stitch until we get back around to the beginning. So just like that. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 11. 72 stitches still. Go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet like that. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be repeating rounds 5 through 11. So we're going to start up here around 5 where we started doing the cables and work our way down to round 11 again. So if you remember, round 5 is where we chained 1 and we put 1 double crochet back into the same stitch, and then we put a double crochet into the next stitch, and then we skipped 2 and we front post tripled around the next 2. So skip, skip, front post triple around the next 2. And then we went back and front post tripled around the 2 that we skipped. So this is round 12 that I'm working on, but it's just a repeat of round 5. And then it was a 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So what I'm going to do is repeat rounds 5 through 11. I'm just going to repeat those again. And you want to keep repeating rows 5 through 11 until you reach a total of 25 rows. So go ahead and rewind me if you need to look again and see what rows 5 through 11 are. But once you get it down, it's pretty easy. But once you get 25 rows done, which I already did here, your last row should be a row of double crochet. So you're actually repeating 5 through 11 2 times. You can see it right there. So here's my 5 through 11. You're repeating it once, and then you're repeating it again, and you ended in that row of double crochet. So to finish the slouchy hat off, I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go right back in to that same stitch and single crochet, and I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in the top of every stitch all the way around, and that's just going to put a finishing edge on it. Just like this. So this is round 26, be our last round. When you get back around, you still should have your 72 stitches. So I'm going to keep going around, 1 single crochet in every stitch, back to the beginning. When you make it back around at the end of row 20, around 26, you just want to slip stitch into your first single crochet there, and then you can tie this off, clip your yarn, hide your tail. Now if you want to put a pom-pom on, you can. I probably will. I'm just going to use a pom-pom maker to make my pom-pom though. But there are lots of good tutorials on YouTube to show you how to make pom-poms. If you do not know how, I would recommend the Nervous Knitter. She has a great how-to pom-pom tutorial. But I'm going to go ahead and get my pom-pom maker out and make a pom-pom and put it on my hat. Okay, once you get your pom-pom sewed on, that's it. I had this little tag that I sewed on with some yarn and a needle. It just says handmade. I don't know where that came from. Somebody donated them to me, so I couldn't tell you where to get them, but I'm sure you can find them online if you want to. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell whenever you subscribe to my channel. That way you never miss another tutorial. Don't forget to check out all my other tutorials too. I have hundreds of them. And until next time, have a good day. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to crochet. It's very easy. It's a thermal stitch beanie. It's actually kind of a slouchy, more of a slouchy, but you can adjust the size if you like to make it fit more of a beanie. It's very easy to adjust the size. Now this would be suitable for a man or a woman. And before we start, I want to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That way you don't miss out on any of my tutorials or any of my other videos that I put on. So you can leave the pom off if you want. This pom came from Amazon. That's completely up to you. So I'm going to give you a size. Lengthwise, like I said, this is a slouchy. It's about 10 inches long. You can fold up the brim if you'd like, or leave it as a slouchy, or like I said, you can adjust your chain count to make it as long as you'd like. This should fit about 19, probably the 22-inch head. Again, easy to adjust the size on that. So how this is made is we start a chain, and it's worked in a long rectangle right here, and then we seam it up in the back, and then we cinch the top together. So basically you're making a rectangle, and then we fold it together, sew it up, and then we tie the top off and put a pom on if you want, or leave the pom off. It's completely up to you, but it's very easy. It makes a nice thick fabric, very thick, very warm, very, very pretty. I like it. I do. I like it a lot. Let's go and get started on this. Okay, for this project I used Malabrigo Rios yarn. It is a medium weight number 4, and it's a 100% superwash merino. You don't have to use this yarn. Any 4-weight yarn will be just fine, but if you're interested, this is the color that I used. And there are 210 yards per hank, and you're going to need about, of any 4-weight yarn that you choose, approximately 270 to 280 yards to complete this hat in the size that I did. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Alright, so the chain that you make is how tall your hat will be, but you have to take into account for where we gather the top up. So if you want to follow along with me, I chained 41 stitches. Now this stitch can be done in any number of chains, so if you want to make it shorter, you can make it shorter. Just any number of chains is fine. There's no particular multiple that it has to be in. It's a very easy stitch to do. So following along with me, once you get your chain of 41 done, what we're going to do is we're going to, you see the chain here? We're going to be working in the loop here that's on the back of the chain. You see those little bumps there? We're going to be going through that one loop there. So we're going to start off, we're going to put a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, but we're going to work it in that one loop there in the back. So this is going to be the hardest part of the hat, is getting the first row down. So in the second stitch from the hook, you do your single crochet into that back loop. See it right there? It's just that one little bump. You just go right through it and single crochet. And then again. All the way down for the length of your chain. It's a little tricky, but you get the hang of it. See that? And that's what it kind of looks like. So I'm going to continue putting one single crochet in that little black back bump, that one loop on the back side of my chain, until I get to the end of the chain. Alright, once you make it to the end, if you're following along with me, you should have a total of 40 stitches now. So that is the number we're going to have the whole time now, is 40 stitches. And now we're going to start the thermal stitch. So row 2 is actually the repeat row for the whole pattern. It's just a 1 row repeat. It's very easy to do. So we're going to start off and we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now the first one is a little tricky. So we're going to go back into that same stitch that we just went into, but we're only going to go into the back loop. So if you look closely, there's the loop that's closest to you is the front loop, and the loop that's furthest away is the back loop. So you're going to go ahead and go into the back loop like that, and you're also going to go down and grab the loop below. So in this case, the very first stitch, it's this loop right here. So go into that loop, just one loop, that loop there. And you see that you'll have 3 loops on your hook. So yarn over and go through those first 2 like that, and then yarn over and go through all like that. So that's how you do thermal stitch. It's a single crochet thermal stitch. So we're going to do that all the way across. So let's go ahead and do it again. So you see the chain here. We're going to be working in the back loop. So we go through the back loop of the next stitch, and then if we look down below, we're going to go into the loop down here like that. Yarn over, go through those first 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through the other 2 just like that. Again, I think I always find it easier to kind of flip my, see, this is my chain upright, to flip my chain on its side. That way I can visibly see the 2 loops that I need to go through. Don't worry if you're finding it kind of difficult at first. It's not. You'll get real easy and you'll be flying by. Go through the back loop on the first stitch and go drop below and go through that loop there. Pull through like that. Again, go to the next one, go through the back loop of it, drop down to the bottom, go through that loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, and then yarn over and go through those 2 like that. again, go through the back loop here, and then the bottom loop down here, yarn over, go through the first two, and then yarn over and go through the remaining two. Again, do the back loop on that first stitch and down below the first loop like that, yarn over, go through the first two, and yarn over and go through the remaining two. And this is what we're going to do for the length of our chain. So it's just like a single crochet, but we're doing it a little bit different. So remember, here's the top of our chain. We're going through the back loop of the stitch, next stitch, and then the front loop of the bottom stitch. And I'm going to continue this until I get to the end of the row. And when you come to the end, you want to make sure you go into the very last stitch and do the same thing. You can kind of see the loops there that you need to go through. Back loop here. Here's the front loop of it. You want to go to the back loop, and then right down here, this loop. I have to put it up on my hook like that. Yarn over. There we go. So that will complete that row, row 2, and you should still have 40 stitches. And your chain should measure somewhere in between 10.5 and 11 inches, something like that, if you're following along with me. So now we're just going to repeat that again. It will get easier. I know it's a little fiddly doing it that way, but it'll become really easy. So again, we're just going to repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So the very first one is always, I think, the hardest one to do, for me anyways. We go back into that very first spot here, but we're going to do the thermal single crochet. So we got to go into the back loop of it. It's the twist. It's hard to, so that's why I always lay it on the piece on its side. It's just easier that way. Grab that back loop, and then this loop right down here below, and then go ahead and go through, yarn over and go through the first two, and yarn over and go through those two like that. And we're going to do this all the way down, just like we did before. So the back loop of the next stitch, drop down, and this loop right here, and then again, back loop of the next stitch, and then the bottom loop down here. It's actually, the bottom loop down here is actually the front loop from the previous row that we did not work into. So again, back loop, and then the loop down here. And if it's twisty, that's fine. It'll straighten out the more rows you do, so don't worry about it if it's twisting up on you. That is normal for it to be twisty. Back loop, and then this bottom loop down here. Back loop, and the bottom loop down here. You see how much easier it is when you put your chain on its side versus upright? Well, to me it is. So here's upright. Remember, we're going through the back loop of the next stitch, and then the bottom loop down here, which is actually the front loop for the previous row that we skipped. And we're going to do this all the way down. It's the exact same thing we just did on row 2. Pretty soon you'll be ripping through this. It'd be really easy. It's just the first initial couple rows till you get a stable piece of fabric, and then it works up really easy. Just like that. So you see how mine's twisting? That's fine. It's gonna do that for a little bit. Okay, when you make it to the end here, you want to make sure you do the last one, so the front loop or back loop on the first one, and then the loop here, just like that, and that will complete that row. And then we just repeat it again. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work. First one is always the hardest. We go right back into the very first stitch, but we got to go through the back loop of it, and then the loop down here. There we go. And then we work across, back loop at the next stitch, and then this loop down here is the front loop from the previous row that we skipped. And this is all there is to it. We're just going to continue doing rows like this, back and forth, just repeating row 2. Now, following along with me, you'll always have 40 stitches at the end of each row. You want to make sure to try to keep count so your hat stays uniform in size. But I'm going to continue this back and forth, doing this thermal stitch. Now, that's what it starts to look like. It'll be the same on both sides. So continue back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, going through the back loop of the next stitch, and then drop below and get that front loop from the previous row that we didn't go through, and do your single crochet. Again, back loop, down below, front loop from the previous row, and single crochet. Back loop, front loop from the previous row, single crochet. Back loop, front loop from the previous row, single crochet. Back loop, front loop from the previous row, single crochet, all the way to the end. Back and forth, back and forth. Just make sure you have 40 at the end of every row if you're following along with me. All right, so got my piece as long as I want it to be. So you can take a quick measure, and you can make yours as long as you want to fit your head, whatever size, you know, how you fit around your head. But you have to remember that there is a little bit of, you want to leave a little bit for stretch. So if you look at mine measures about 19.5 inches long, and I have about a 21.5 inch head. So go ahead and leave about an inch, you know, for stretching purposes, because it's going to stretch a bit. Okay, now once you get that as big as you want, we're going to seam it up. So here's where I stopped. Now I didn't tie off. I'm just going to continue with my yarn, but I'm going to slip stitch it together, and then I'm going to flip it right side or inside out, right side out. So here's where I ended, right here. If you look here, okay, so there's my last row. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and then I'm going to put my work folded in half like that, and now we're going to slip stitch it together. So what I'm going to do when we slip stitch is we're going to go through the back loop just like normal of this piece, and then the bottom loop down here like normal, but we're also going to grab this piece over here and we're going to go through that one loop here. See that? And we're going to pull it We're going to go through all 3 of those loops like that. Well, there should be 4 loops on your hook. We're actually going to slip stitch, I guess, through all 4. First one's always the hardest. There we go. Just like that. Now this is how we're going to do it the whole way down. If you feel more comfortable using a yarn needle and sewing it together, you could do that too. Just make sure your stitches match up. So I'm going to go over here to my next stitch. And I'm going to go through just like we did when we were doing the thermal stitch. The back loop here, this loop here. Then I'm going to come over here to this piece and grab up this 1 loop over here. And see those 4 loops that are on my hook now? I want to slip stitch through them all like that. Again, jump to the next one. So we go to the next stitch just like we go through those 2 loops like we're working a thermal stitch, and then we go grab up this loop on the other piece. So I do have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, and just go through all of them like that with a slip stitch. And we're going to continue this all the way down until the whole piece is sewn up. Now don't make sure you don't get it like pull it too tight, your stitches too tight, because then it'll start crunching up like that. You want to kind of try to keep it as even as possible. Oops. So there's those 2, and then there's 1 here, and go through all of them. All right, I'm going to continue this until I make it all the way down here to the end. All right, I made it all the way to the end, and I went ahead and I'm going to clip my yarn and clip my yarn and just tie it off like that. And now I'm going to flip it in the opposite direction, inside out, right side out. So it will be more flat on the opposite side. There will be a seam, but it should be a nice straight clean seam, and it is nice. All right, now we're going to go around the top and the bottom. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start near the seam, that way, you know, it all starts on my seam to be in the back. So what we're going to do is try to evenly space out some single crochets across the top. So you can go and just go in. You can kind of tell where the end of each row is if you look. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's not like any certain number that you have to have. So go ahead and start your yarn in any stitch. I'm just going to start along the seam here. And you're working on the sides of the singles, so it will be a little bit harder to see, but just do your best. Chain 1 to evenly space out. Go back into that same spot and single crochet. Do your best to evenly space out. 1 single crochet all the way around. Try to put 1 kind of at the end of every row. That's what I usually aim for. But like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to be the top, and we're going to sew it up together, or cinch it together. So just do your best to kind of evenly space them out. See, mine's not perfect. And like I said, there's no certain amount that you have to have. I'm not even going to count. I'm just going to go around and try to evenly space out 1 single crochet all the way around until I get back to my starting point. All right, I'll meet back up with you right over here. Alright, so I have made it all the way around. Now, I didn't slip stitch or in the row or anything. What you want to do is tie off a really long, just clip your yarn with a really long tail. See, here's where I started. I didn't end with the slip stitch. And these aren't really even, I mean, I evenly spaced them the best that I could. So now what you want to do is take your really long tail and we're going to sew up the top. Yarn needle. And we're just going to start by going into a single crochet, go through both loops like that. I'm actually going to do every other single and skip one and go back from behind like that. Skip one and then go forward. So we're not going like over, we're going back and forth, and I'm skipping a single crochet each time. And again, this is going to be the top of the hat. It's going to be sewn up, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We might be a little bit cleaner when we get it down to the bottom, but for now, I'm just going to do this all the way around. And every time I get so far, I kind of just give it a little bit of a tug. Just to kind of see what it's going to look like there. Alright, I'm going to continue around. Skipping a single. Going through one. Skip one. Back through the other. And I'll do this all the way around back to the starting point. Alright, I have made it back around and I still got my yarn. So what I'm going to do is just gently pull it shut. Careful so you don't break your yarn. Some yarns are a little bit more delicate than others. So I just do it kind of gently until I get it cinched up at the top. Just work with it. And once you get it closed up pretty tight, we can sew it up the rest of the way. And then as we're sewing, we'll be hiding our tail. So get it kind of tight. Just make sure you don't break your yarn. See, there's a little bit of a hole in mine. That's fine. I will take care of that as I sew it together the rest of the way. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go back and forth along the top and kind of pull it together. Do it as neat as possible though, even though it is the top of the hat. In case you don't want to put a palm on, it'll be visible. So you just do the best that you can to get it sewn up as neatly as possible. I'll probably put a palm on mine. We'll see. I'm not certain. But as we're sewing it shut, we're also hiding our tail at the same time because we're going the back and forth motion here. We're just going to hide our tail. So just do this till it's good and tight, good and sewn, till you feel like it's not going to come undone on you. And then you can clip off your yarn. Let me look at it. That's on the hole showing. I might excessively sew mine together. I guess you can't do it too much. Don't want to come undone. There we go. Alright. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to go ahead and clip my yarn real quick. Okay, once you get it all sewed up, now you can put a palm on if you want, which is what I will probably do, right on the top. to attach your palm, you can do that many ways. You can, and you can make a palm if you want, or this palm came from Amazon, or you can leave the palm off, whatever you want. Some people sew the palm on. Some palms have buttons like this one, or you would sew a button here and button it onto it. I actually hot glue my palms on, so I'll get a hot glue gun and I'll put some hot glue on my palm and a hot glue at the top of my hat, and I'll hot glue it on, and it will never come off, ever, ever, ever. Ever. But I do hand wash everything that I crochet. So when I hot glue it on, I hand wash it and then lay it flat to dry, and then I just floof my palm out again with a blow dryer. But you can put your palm on any way that you want. You don't have to do it the way that I do it. Like I said, a lot of people sew them on, so however you choose to do that. And then when that's done, I'm not going to do anything at the bottom. Actually, I think I'm going to leave it. I like it the way that it is. So you can wear it as a slouchy, or you can roll it up like that and wear it like that with the palm on, or a slouchy. That's it though. That's all there is to it. I think it turned out nice. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my hundreds and hundreds of other tutorials. So if you make this, though, I'd really like to see a picture. You can post a picture on my Instagram page. Hashtag me at Bagoday Crochet. And that's it. Until next time, have a good day. Stay safe. Bye, guys. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this houndstooth slouchy hat. It's got the pom-pom on top. Special thank you to Darlene for gifting me this pom-pom maker. It's awesome. It worked really well. And special thank you to Lulu for gifting me a new pair of scissors because she knew I needed them. And this is the houndstooth. It's one of my favorite stitches, and I actually really only love to do it in black and white. I don't know, it's just so classic to me. I love it. It has some ribbing at the bottom, and it is a slouch. It's not a huge slouch. It has a slight slouch at the top. You can leave the pom-pom off if you want, and you don't even have to make it a slouchy. You can, you know, leave some of the rows of the houndstooth off and put the brim up higher, or you don't even have to put a brim on it. You know, it's your hat. You can do it however you want to do it. It does have a seam because I'm working the houndstooth in the round, but I don't think the seam turned out too bad. It's not extremely noticeable. You probably wouldn't even have noticed it if I wouldn't have pointed it out, but I'm big on seams. I hate seams. Like I say it 100 times, in a perfect world, crochet would not have seams, but unfortunately we all know the world isn't perfect. But so here's my seam, but it turned out pretty good for the houndstooth. Really is meant to work back and forth, so working in and around, the seam turned out pretty good. So well, let's go ahead and get started on it. It's actually really pretty easy. Okay, for this project I just used a red heart super saver here, and it is just 100% medium worsted weight 4-ply acrylic, and I just use regular black and white, and of course you can use any colors that you wish for your houndstooth. Now these were full complete skeins when I started, and there is a little bit less black than white because I use a little bit more of it, but as you can see, one skein of each will probably make 2 hats. That's just my guess, but it's at least going to make 1, but I think it'll probably make 2. And there are 364 yards per skein, so you're at least going to get 1. I think you could probably get 2 out of both these skeins. Okay, and then I'm using a size J, which is 6mm crochet hook. So we'll go ahead, and I apologize up front for the black, but I just can't do houndstooth than any other color than the classic black and white. That's just my favorite. So we're going to make the base of the hat where we do the increases first. I tried doing the increases in the houndstooth. I tried for a long time. I probably could have got it down. I was just getting kind of sick of it, so I just decided to make the top black, and I don't think it turned out bad at all. So we're just going to start with a chain of 4. Now you can do the magic ring here if you prefer. And then we're going to slip stitch into our first stitch to form a ring. And now we're going to get your slip stitch done, chain 1. And I'm going to work 12 double crochets through the center of that ring. So I'm going to yarn over. That chain 1 we just did does not count as anything. So we're not going to use it as a stitch or nothing. So we're going to yarn over, go through the ring, drop a loop, and do a double crochet. And we want to do that till we have 12 total. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, here's 12 for me. Now what you want to do once you get your 12 is slip stitch into your first double crochet. Not that chain 1, but the first double. So we'll go ahead and slip stitch right into that, and that'll end round 1. And now if you take your tail and you pull it, you can usually close up that center circle a little bit more. And then you can sew it together the rest of the way. Otherwise, well, it's kind of, if you put a pom-pom on top of it, you're not even going to see that, so it doesn't really matter. Now what we're going to do is chain 1, and we're going to work 2 double crochets in the exact same stitch that we slip stitched into. So remember, this chain 1 doesn't count as anything, so we're going to go right back into that same stitch and work 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and 2, and now I'm going to work around putting 2 double crochets in every stitch all the way around, 2 in each stitch. And when you get to the end, back to the beginning, to the end of round 2, you should have a total of 24 double crochets. So continue working 2 doubles in every stitch all the way around, back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it back around at the end of round 2 and you got your 24 double crochets, we'll go ahead and end round 2 by slip stitching into your first double. Not the chain 1, but the double. Now what we're going to do for round 3 is we're going to repeat round 2. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go right back into that same stitch and put 2 double crochets. So there's 1 and 2. And now I'm going to work 2 double crochets in every single stitch, just like we did in the previous round. So just like this. So when you get to the end of round 3, you should have a total of 48 stitches. So continue working your 2 doubles in every stitch until you get back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it to the end of round 3 and you have your 48 stitches, we're going to end round 3 by slip stitching into our first double, not the chain 1, but the first double. And now we're going to do one more round of increases before we start doing our houndstooth. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to put 1 double crochet right back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into, like that. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And now the next stitch is going to get 2 double crochets in the same stitch, like that. Now it's going to be 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 double crochet into the next, and then 1 double crochet into the next, and then 2 double crochets into the next. And that's the repeat now for round 4. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 double into the next, 1 double into the next, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. 1 double in each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 one in the next, and then 2 doubles into the next. So it's 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles, 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles, all the way around until you get to the end of round 4. And when you get back to the beginning, or the end, when you get back around here to the beginning, you should have a total of 64 stitches at the end of round 4. Okay, once you make it to the end of round 4, and you got your 64 stitches, what you want to do is slip stitch into your first double crochet. But we're going to add our white now, because we're going to start doing houndstooth. But we're not going to clip our black and white yarns. We're just going to add them, and we're not going to clip them until we're done with them. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put your hooks through that first double crochet, and instead of pulling the black through, pull your white through like that. Now flip it over and take the tail of the white and then the mane of the black and put a little knot there so it doesn't come undone. I know knots are no good in crochet, but you know what? I use them all the time. I don't care. There we go. So now we're going to start our houndstooth. Now by not clipping this yarn, sometimes these get tangled and you got to untangle them, but that's okay. So we're going to start with our white. What we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Just like that. Now the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. And then a single crochet into the next, and then a double crochet, and then a single crochet, and then a double crochet. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. Single crochet and double crochet. So the houndstooth is really, really easy, and it looks so cool. Single crochet, double crochet. So you just want to repeat this pattern. We're working on round 5 now, all the way back around until you get to the beginning. Single and double, single and double, all the way around until you get back to your starting point. Okay, once you made it back around to the end of round 5, you still should have 64 stitches. You should always have 64 stitches every time around. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to our black. So you should have ended in a double crochet. So we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet, not the chain one but the single. But we're not going to pull the white through, we're going to pull the black through. So we're going to go through and drop the white and grab the black and pull it through like that. Now you'll have to take your white and kind of pull it tight. Oh, like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start this round with a double crochet. Every white round starts with a single crochet. Every black round starts with a double crochet. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into the same stitch and double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go in. Now I'll show you something I like to do. You don't have to do it, but I kind of think that it makes the seam look a little bit better. When I go in, I grab this string right here, this black string, and put it under my hook too. That way it's crocheted in, and I think it don't stick out when you're making the seam. Because if you didn't crochet that in, it would kind of stick out a bit. You don't necessarily have to do that. It doesn't really stick out enough to even really notice, but I'm kind of weird about seams, so that's kind of how I started. Now make sure you pull that white one tight there. So since you started with the double, the next one has to be a single. And then we do a double in the next. And a single on the next. A double. And a single. A double. And a single. Double. And a single. So what it is, it's just kind of opposite of what you did the round before. Wherever you put a single last round, it's going to get a double this round. And then wherever you put a double in the previous round, it's going to get a single. So I'm going to repeat this double, single, just like we did the round before, all the way around until I get back to the beginning. Just like that. And the more rounds you do, you'll start seeing the houndstooth take shape. Okay, I made it back around. Just kind of pull your hat down a little bit. It'll start taking a lot more shape once you get going. So if it's looking kind of funky now, don't worry about it. It'll get better, I promise. Now this round, you should have ended in a single. You start your black round in a double and you end it in your single. You start your white round in a single and you end it in a double. So now we're going to switch colors again. So we're going to slip stitch into this first double crochet here. Drop that black, pull the white through, and do your slip stitch. And then I take my black and kind of pull it tight. And I kind of hold it there. Now we're going to start our white round. So we're just going to repeat these 2 rows now. So we're going to repeat it. So I'm going to chain 1 and start my white round with a single crochet. So I'm going to go in, and what I kind of do is flip it around, and you see this white string here, right here. You don't have to do this. I just think it makes it seem a little better. I go through that too, like that, and it holds it there. And then I'll pull through and do my single crochet. That way that string's not sticking out as bad in the seam. Again, not something you have to do if you can't, if it's kind of hard to get your hook through there. You don't have to do that. But now I'm just going to repeat. So I got my single, so the next one's a double. Single and double. Single and double. Repeat this all the way around back to the beginning. You should always have 64 stitches every round. So now I'm just going to keep repeating these 2 white and black rows. So the next one will be black, where you start with the double, and then the white, where you start with the single. Black, start with the double, white, start with the single. And you want to keep doing that until you get your hat as long as you want it to be. Maybe you don't want it to be a slouchy. Maybe you just want it to be a regular beanie. But you can do that for however long you want it to be. So I'm going to keep going here for a little bit. Okay, I did a total of 21 rows of just the houndstooth stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 21. So you should end in a white row. You can make it longer if you want your saw to be longer. So that's 21 rows of hound stitches plus the 4 we did for the increases. So counting with this very first one, you'll have 25 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put a brim on my hat, some ribbing. So I just went ahead and I slip stitched up here like I normally would. And now I'm going to cut my white yarn because I'm not going to need it anymore. So I'm going to clip it off. I'm not going to use it anymore right now. So I went ahead and pulled through like we normally would, and I chained 1. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch and double crochet. Just 1 double crochet. Like that. And now I'm going to kind of hide this white tail as I go. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch around. So no more double crochet, single crochet. It's just 1 double crochet in every stitch around until you get back to the beginning. And you should have 64 stitches still when you get back around. So I'm going to continue around working 1 double in every stitch till I get back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it back around and you have your 64 stitches, you want to go ahead and slip stitch into your first double crochet. Now we're going to start working some ribbing. So we're going to do back post, front post, double crochet. So we're going to chain one, and we're going to go right back into that same stitch and double crochet. And that's going to count as a back post double crochet. Even though it's a regular, it's going to count as a back post. So what we're going to do to the next stitch, where we're going to work a double crochet, but we're just going to work it around the post of the stitch. So we're going to yarn over and go right around the post like that, and then do our double crochet. And the next one we're going to do a back post. So that's basically the same thing. We're going to yarn over, but we're going to go around from the back like that. That way your post is on the back of your hook. And then we're going to do a double crochet. And the next stitch is going to be a front post, double crochet, so right around the post, and then you double crochet. And the next one will be a back post, so go right around from the back and double crochet. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. A front post, double crochet, and then a back post, double crochet, and then a front post, double crochet, and then the back post where you come from behind, post is on the back. So I'm going to repeat the front post, back post, and you can tell, probably maybe not with the black right in the camera, but it's starting to put ribbing on it. And we get a few more rows, you'll be able to see it better. So I'm going to repeat this front post double crochet, back post double crochet, all the way back around to the beginning. Okay, once you make it all the way around, now you should have ended in a front post double crochet. Just go on and substitch into your first double crochet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that row 2 more times, that row we just did. So we're going to chain one, and we're going to go into the same stitch and double crochet, so that's going to act as a back post double crochet. And then we're going to front post double crochet around the next stitch. And then we're going to back post double crochet around the next. So go right in. And again, I'm going to apologize for the dark yarn. And then front post around the next. And then back post around the next. So as you can see, we're keeping the posts lined up. Front post. And then back post. So it's just repeating the row we just did. And if you can see, the ribbing is starting to show up a little bit better. This black yarn, I guess I should have used white, but you want to go ahead and repeat that row 2 more times. So we're going to finish this row we're on, and then we're going to do it 1 more time, and then I'll meet back up with you after that. Okay, once you get those 2 rows of the post stitches done, now if you count from the very beginning all the way down, you should have 29 rows. So for the very last row, because we did the, I'll explain it here so you know, 4 rows of the, up here on top of the increases. And then we had 21 rows of houndstooth stitches. So that's 25. And then we did the 1 row of double crochet, that's 6. 26, and then we did the 3 rows of posts, so that's 29. And now what we're going to do is finish this cap off by doing 1 round of single crochet in every stitch. So I'm just going to chain 1 and go back into that same stitch and single crochet, and now I'm going to work 1 single crochet. This would be round 30 in every stitch all the way around. And you still should be keeping your 64 stitches. So I'm going to work around, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch, and that's going to be my finishing row. We're not doing any back posts, any front posts. It's just 1 single crochet into the top of every stitch until I get back around to the beginning. And that just makes it look a little bit more finished. Okay, once you make it back around, after that row of single crochet, go ahead and slip stitch into your first single crochet there, and then tie that off. And you can be finished if you want after you hide that tail. I'm actually going to go and put a pom-pom on the end of mine. That's nothing that you have to do. I got this new fancy pom-pom maker. Someone donated to me. Thank you very, very much. And I'm going to give it a try. Probably off camera, because it'll probably take me a few tries to get it. But if you want to put a pom-pom on there, you can go right ahead and do that. That's completely up to you. If not, you can be finished. But I'm going to go ahead and do my pom-pom and get it sewed on real quick. Okay, I made the pom-pom, and I used this pom-pom maker. It actually worked the first time I tried it. This was donated from Darlene. Thank you so much. It's so much appreciated. She gave me all kinds of stuff. But the pack is actually 2 in a pack, so you can make different sizes. I used the big one, and look at this. It was so easy, and it came out perfect. But if you don't have one of these, there's lots of tutorials on how to make a pom-pom. If you just look on the internet, if you don't know how. But they're pretty easy to make. But that pom-pom maker was awesome. Thank you so much for donating that to me. She gifted me that. So very nice of her. Thank you very much. And now all I'm going to do is take it if you're putting a pom-pom on, and I'm going to sew it to the top. Now, what I usually do is I sew it a bit, you know, to the top, but then I usually use a dab of hot glue. I don't know if you should do that or not, but I always do that just to secure the pom-pom so I know it's not going to come undone. Because hot glue and yarn equals not coming undone. I don't know if you ever use hot glue and yarn, but once it's on, it is on. I'm serious, it's not coming off. So I'm going to pull them through both of my tails of my pom-pom. You can sew your pom-pom on however you learn to sew them on. You don't have to just do it like me. Sometimes I don't always do things the right way. I just do them my own way. But if it works, it works. So I tie it on. Now what I'm going to do, I'll probably sew it on a couple more times here. And then I'll take some hot glue and I'll just dab it at the base here and then stick my hat down into it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, my houndstooth slouchy is done. I think it turned out super cute. I really love the houndstooth. I probably said that a lot, but now here's the seam on the back, and I actually don't think it turned out too dang bad, truthfully. So you'd want to put the seam on the back, but it really don't look too bad. For working the houndstooth in a round, it looks pretty good. But that's it. That's all there is to it. So if you make this or anything else, I'd really like to see a picture of it. You post a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page. I'll put a link to that below in the description box. Also, don't forget to check me out on Instagram. I'll put links to that too. And check me out on Etsy, where you can find patterns to some of my tutorials. Not all of them, but, you know, probably about quarter of them. I don't know. I got like over 400 tutorials, so you'll find lots of patterns on Etsy. So, and don't forget to check out all them other tutorials too. And until next time, bye everybody. Have a good day. Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this slouchy hat here. That's just got a brooch on there for decoration. You don't have to put that on there. It's got a tiny little bitty puff stitches, I guess. They're not really puff stitches, they're just, it's actually the cobblestone stitch is what it's made with. So they're just little bitty poofs there for added texture. Pom-pom, but you can leave that off if you want. It's actually really easy. Single crochet brim. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project I'm using Caron Simply Soft Tweeds, which is a almost 100% acrylic yarn. It's got the little flex in it. It's a medium 4 weight, and there are 250 yards in this skein, and that'll be enough to do the hat. And the color I'm using is off-white. Of course, you can use any color that you like, and you don't have to use this yarn. Any type of 4-weight yarn will work. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, I want to take a second to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the description box of this video or any of my videos, you'll see a auto subscribe link. If you click on that link, you'll automatically be subscribed and you'll never miss any of my updates. So first you want to start with the slip knot on your hook, and then we're going to work a chain of 3. Now you can use the magic circle here if you prefer. Now we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. And we're going to chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. Now we're going to work 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So there's 1, 2. Okay, once you got your 12 double crochets, you want to end round 1 by slip stitching into your first double crochet. So just go ahead and slip stitch right into it. You'll have 12 doubles now. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now what we're going to do into this very first stitch here that we slip stitched into, this little hole here, we're going to work a single crochet and a triple crochet, both into that same stitch. Just like that. Now we're going to jump to the next stitch and we're going to work a single crochet and a triple crochet into the same stitch. A single crochet into the next and a triple crochet into the same stitch. And that's the repeat we're going to do all the way around. A single and a triple into every stitch. Single and a triple. And the reason why we turned our work, we're working on the wrong side now, because when you flip it over, it makes those puffs. So that's why you have to work on the wrong side. So I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet and 1 triple crochet into every stitch until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 2, and now you should have 24 stitches. So we're going to end by slip stitching into the first single crochet that we made right here. Not this chain 1 down here, not the triple, but the first single crochet. So go ahead and slip stitch right into it. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work back around. So for round 3, we're going to put a double crochet right back here into the same stitch that we just slip stitched it to. So right into there, we'll work 1 double crochet. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So it's this triple crochet right here. So 2 doubles into that stitch. And then 1 double into the next, which is this single crochet down here. Two doubles into the next, which is this triple crochet that's kind of popped out. Go right in the top of it and work 2 doubles. And then 1 double into the next, which is the single crochet down here. So I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around. 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet. 2 doubles and 1 double. All the way around until I get back to the beginning. Okay, I've come to the end of round 3, and now you should have 36 stitches. You should have ended with 2 double crochets into your last stitch. And we'll go ahead and slip stitch into our first double crochet. Okay, round 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, what we're going to do now is work 1 single crochet into this first stitch. And then we're going to work a triple crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch is going to get 1 single and 1 triple into the same stitch. So 1 single and a triple. So that's what we're going to kind of repeat now for round 4. 1 single into the next stitch, 1 triple into the next stitch after that one, and then the next stitch we'll get a single and a triple into the same stitch. So there's a single and a triple. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat it again. 1 single into the next stitch, 1 triple into the next stitch after that one, and then the next stitch will get 1 single and 1 triple into the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around until I get to the end of the row. 1 single, 1 triple, and then the next stitch you'll get 1 single, 1 triple together. 1 single into the next, 1 triple into the next, and then the next stitch you'll get 1 single, 1 triple into the same stitch. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Okay, I've come to the end of round 4, and you should have ended where the last stitch has a single and a triple in it. And you should have 48 stitches now. Now we're going to go ahead and end with the slip stitch into our first single crochet right there. Like that. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work back around. Okay. Round 5, we're going to do 1 double crochet right here into this same spot that we slip stitched into. Oops. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 1 right here on top of this triple, and then 1 right here into this single. Now the next stitch is going to get 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And now we're going to kind of repeat that. We did 3 double crochets in a row and then 2 double crochets into the next. So again, we're going to put 3 double crochets in a row. So 1 double crochet in the next, which would be this single crochet right here. And then 1 in the next, and then 1 in the next. So that's 3 in a row, and then the next one is going to get 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Again, 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1 right here into this single, 1 on top of this triple here, 1 into this single, so that's 3 in a row, and then 2 double crochets into the next, which is on top of this triple. So I'm just going to repeat that pattern all the way around for round 5 until I get back to the beginning. 1 double crochet in the next 3, and then 2 double crochets in the next. Okay, I've made it back around at the end of round 5, and your last stitch should have had 2 double crochets in it, and now you should have 60 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and end with the slip stitch into our first double crochet, and we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now what we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into this very first stitch here that we slip stitched into. So 1 single crochet in that one, a triple into the next stitch like that, a single into the next stitch, a triple into the next stitch, and now the next stitch is going to get a single and then a triple, both in the same stitch. So a single and a triple into the same stitch, just like that. So again, we'll go ahead and do that again. It's 1 single into the next, and then a triple into the next, a single into the next, a triple into the next. So that was like 4 stitches in a row that we just did. And now the next one is going to get a single and a triple into the same stitch. So that's the pattern we're going to repeat this time around for round 6. A single, a triple, a single, a triple, and then the next one will get a single and a triple into the same stitch. And then you just keep repeating that. Single, triple, single, triple, single, and a triple into the same stitch until you make it all the way back around to the beginning. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 6. Your last stitch should have been a single and a triple into that same stitch, and we're going to end by slip stitching into our first single crochet, and now you should have 72 stitches. Now we're not going to do any more increases, so we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to start round 7. Now round 7 and round 8 are the repeats for the rest of the hat until we get down to where we're going to do the rim of it. So what we're going to do, we're going to double crochet right back into the same stitch, and we're just going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So like I said, no more increasing. It's just 1 double in every stitch until you get back to the beginning. Just like that. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 7. I still should have 72 stitches. Go ahead and end with a slip stitch into your first double crochet. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now I'm going to put a single crochet into the very first stitch and a triple into the next. And that's the repeat now for round 8. It's pretty easy. Single into the next and triple into the next. That's all it is, the whole way around. Single and then a triple. So remember, no more increasing or anything, so we're just doing 1 single and then 1 triple all the way around until we get back to the beginning. Single and then a triple, just like that. Okay, once you make it back around to end of row 8, you still should have 72 stitches, and you just want to slip stitch into your first single crochet, and that you chain 1 and turn, and then you just repeat rows 7 and 8. So the double crochet row and a puffy row. Just keep repeating them back and forth, and you want to repeat them until you reach a total of 18 rows. Okay, after you make it to the end around 18, it should have been a puff row. What you want to do is chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to do a row of decreases. So what we're going to do is we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first 4 stitches. So we're going to go right back into this first stitch and single crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm going to decrease over the next 2. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and drop a loop, and then I'm going to go into the next one and drop a loop and yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So that took 2 stitches and made it into 1. Now I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. So 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to decrease over the next 2. So go into the next stitch, drop a loop, and then the next one, drop a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Again, 1 single crochet in the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Decrease over the next 2, so go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, the next one, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. So I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. 1 single crochet in the next 4, and then decrease over the next 2 until you get back to the beginning. Okay, once you make it to the end of round 19, you should have ended in a decrease, and you should have a total of 60 stitches now. Now I'm going to be working the brim, and I'm just going to do rows of single crochet. So you're going to need a stitch marker. I'm just going to use this piece of yarn. I'm going to place it right here. So I'm not going to be connecting my rows with the slip stitch anymore. And I'm no longer going to be turning my work. So I'm just going to jump right over here to the first single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet into it. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. Just like this. All the way around until I get to my marker. Okay, I've come to the end of round 20 and I made it back to my marker. You still should have 60 stitches. I'm going to pull my marker up, and now I'm just going to continue doing rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And every time I get to my marker, I should have 60 stitches each time. And I just move my marker up and continue again. Now you can do as many rounds as you'd like for however long you want your brim to be on the hat. But I'm going to keep working, and I'll let you know how many total rounds of single crochet that I do in just a second. Okay, I went ahead and did a total from round number 1 all the way down to 24 rounds. So I ended on round 24. I'm at my stitch marker. What I'm going to do is go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch and slip stitch one more time into the next one. Then I'm going to clip this yarn, hide that tail. You could go ahead and take your stitch marker out. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this tail. Okay, that's it. Once you get done hiding in all your tails, I just made a pom-pom with the pom-pom maker and sewed it on top. Now, if you don't know how to make a pom-pom, there's lots of great tutorials on YouTube to show you how, but you can leave the pom-pom off if you want. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out all my other tutorials. So until next time, have a good day.